I never thought I would be here. My marriage has fallen apart. My husband has chosen rock climbing over us. For the last year I have been trying, but it's over. My husband started going to the climbing gym that opened up near his office. He was interested in trying it. But he has become obsessed. All he wants to do is go rock climbing. He has no time for anything else. No time for me or our kids. We have been married for 11 years and together since 2011, but now climbing is more important to him. I have tried talking to him and nothing works. He spends every free moment he has going climbing. We have a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old, and my husband always used to spend so much time with them. Now he acts like they don't exist. I honestly thought he was having an affair at first. He says he enjoys rock climbing. I'm not trying to stop him from enjoying it. I just want him to spend time with us again. Before the climbing gym opened, he was a good husband and he spent so much time with our children. I want to go back to that. He goes off for days on climbing trips to the Blue Mountains, and when he is here, he is at the gym every day. Sometimes twice a day. The tipping point was finding out that he lied about his job. He took a lower paying job where he worked, and he told me it was to avoid getting laid off completely. I found out he took the job voluntarily so he would have more time for climbing. There was no layoff. He admitted it. He says he didn't tell me because he knew I would be angry. I'm doing all the childcare, doing all the chores at home, and I work full time. If I try talking to my husband, he just says I am just jealous of his new hobby. After finding out about his job and him, I realize nothing I say or do will make a difference. I've been to a solicitor. I have put myself and my children in counseling. I found a flat for us to move into. I am tired of my children asking me where my husband is all the time. He may be continuing on like things are normal, but I can't do it this any longer. Sometimes I feel like I failed as wife and a mum. But can't stay like this. Story 2. I have very bad anxiety with cars and planes. I have gotten in many car wrecks in my 28 years of life, and most of them I have caused myself. I got fired because I was late a lot because of transportation issues since my car recently got totaled, and now my husband drives me, and sometimes we will be late since we all have to get ready at the same time and our kids will slow us down a lot. I started driving again recently and it has been a hot mess. I have a terrible phobia of driving in the highway too. Way too much is going on in the highway and it freaks me out. I lost my last job because I started panicking in the highway and I had to drive off on the side and park to calm down, so this would cause me to become late for work. We recently moved, and where we live it's by the airport, and the planes regularly fly over my apartment building and I freak out and I always think the plane is going to crash into my building and explode. The planes I hear are so loud, and sometimes when I look outside I can see them and they appear too close, and my husband tells me I'm crazy and it's in my head. The planes are always flying during the day and night time, and sometimes it wakes me up and I'll have nightmares in real time while the planes pass above my head. In my nightmares the planes crash near me and I explode and die. One time the dream felt so real I woke up and checked my window to see if the plane really did crash. It didn't, it was in my head. I was literally about to call 911 to report a plane crash that wasn't actually happening. I want to move, but we can't move. My husband likes the apartments we rent out and there's no other issues but my plane phobia, and he thinks it's crazy I'm suggesting to pay out our lease over my silly phobia. I have been in therapy for 6 years for this. I have seen many different therapists and I'm still scared of driving. I am currently on medication for my PTSD. My psych said if it gets worse he thought about doing a ketamine treatment on me, but he said he will revisit that idea and doesn't want to push that. It's basically the last resort type of thing. My husband told me I need to get my shit together because he's sick of taking care of 3 children, the third being me. He's mostly upset because I lost my job and he drove me around like a butler and I forgot to say thank you, and I wasn't that appreciative for all he has done for me and sacrificed just to accommodate me, which is true. I did forget to say thank you for all he has done for me. I don't know why I didn't thank him or show much appreciation towards him. I guess it's the stress and shock. I didn't really think about that until he yelled at me for how much he feels that I am ungrateful. I feel like a burden and I feel worthless. I took a part-time job as a janitor and I feel like a loser. Story 3. Me and my partner were renting a small apartment owned by my cousin. She doesn't live there, she rents a bigger place with her 2 kids, and the rent from us helped her cover the mortgage on this one. Originally, about a year ago, we talked about potentially staying there for up to 4 years, as we didn't have a reason to leave sooner. The agreement was verbal, and month to month, no formal lease. Before we moved in, at the time we took the apartment, I told her that the situation has changed and my partner's parents were actively looking to buy an apartment in the city, and if it happened, we'd move there to save on rent. Eventually, they did buy a place, which was a huge relief for us. I'm a recent grad, currently unemployed, with only small savings, and my partner just graduated too. Once we had a move-out date, I gave my cousin 2 months' notice, even though she had only asked for one. In early conversations, I told her that if we had to leave suddenly, we'd help cover rent until she found someone new. But we didn't leave suddenly. I gave her double the notice she requested. We moved out at the end of June. She's been using a rental agency but hasn't found a tenant yet. She now says I should keep paying rent until someone moves in because I left at a bad time when rentals are slow. To be helpful, I already paid half of July's rent, even though we no longer live there. But she's asking for more and says I'm selfish and irresponsible for not continuing to pay. She even said she might go into debt to feed the kids and brought up that when she was my age, she couldn't afford to be unemployed for the summer and travel like me. Mind you, I worked hard for this to be possible and the trip is already paid for. I get that she's stressed, and I appreciate that she rented to us. But I was honest from the beginning, gave more notice than needed, paid extra, and I don't think it's fair to expect me to keep paying for a place I no longer live in. Also, me being able to not start working right after college and travel should not be held against me. It took me a long time to save for this. Story 4. In October 2024, under a different profile that sadly cannot be accessed anymore, I posted about my husband sleeping with my 23-year-old niece. He was 40. We had a 7-year-old daughter. It was very popular and I provided updates for almost 7 months on my own feed. I believe some of you remember it and I wanted to say a big thank you because this platform was at that point in my life my only therapist. It can still be found on YouTube and other platforms. I would have lost my mind entirely if it wasn't for the kind strangers from here. My original post. Maybe I will post updates from time to time on my own profile but not so often. That was a good coping mechanism in the beginning but it stopped me from healing. So if it doesn't get deleted I will do that from time to time. This niece is my brother-daughter and she is 23. For more than a year I felt she is looking way too much at my husband, 40. But my mind couldn't accept this and I told myself I'm crazy. I know she admires him, she is very vocal about it. I didn't do anything because I never saw anything suspicious on his side. My brother is a loser to be frank and a stupid excuse of a father. Drinks, gambles and usually unemployed. My husband collects him frequently from hospital and pays for the medicine he has for liver. A lot of times when my niece was still a child I took care of her, cooked for her, got her ready for school. Her mother left with someone else and she abandoned her with her father. My husband is the complete opposite of him. He takes care of his appearance, has successful business, 45 employees. She looks up to him and said she learnt a lot from him about how a business work. When the line was really crossed was when one day she insisted to iron his shirt. He always wears suits and ties and she wanted to prepare it for him. I was very busy with my 7-year-old daughter who had a hard time getting used to the new school and I let it pass. A very stressful period for me. And she helped. I told her I will just order food every day, but she wanted to be useful, so she said. She cooked what he like to eat, never asked what we want, just what he wants. And 3 days ago I found out he slept with her while I was away on business trip. I let my daughter with them in the house. But he took her to my mother. I actually got an anonymous text, which turned out to be from a friend of hers. I hoped it a stupid joke. But I told him I know he slept with her and he started apologizing and explaining that it happened just once, that they had wine and it happened. I don't know what to do now. She is not like a lot of modern young women who want to be independent and strong. She knows she is beautiful and is playing the beauty card. Story 5. I'm getting married next week. I was the happiest person in the world until the rehearsal dinner. Buckle up, because this is a lot. I honestly don't even know how to put this all into words. I've always had a complicated relationship with my biological mom, But despite all the crap she put me through, I still let her be part of my life. I even invited her to my wedding. Huge mistake. This woman started dating while she was still pregnant with me, disappeared for months, and then dumped me on my dad when I was 2 months old. She literally gave up her parental rights because she couldn't handle the fact that I told my dad one of her boyfriends asked if I wanted to play in the bath with him. I was 4. And the worst part, she stayed with that creep for years after that. That's the kind of person she is. Honestly, I'm grateful she gave me up. My dad is my hero, and my stepmom, who officially adopted me when I was 7, is my real mom. She was only 21 when she took me in, and everything I am today is because of the two of them. My bio mom. She was just there. I'd see her once every few years at my grandparents' house and people would say, "Look, that's your mother," and I'd smile and nod. That was it. About 2 years ago, my grandparents told me she had tried to kill herself. Turns out she had a ton of untreated mental health issues and was addicted to opioids. I felt bad for her. I gave her another chance. I started visiting. I actually started enjoying our talks. She was funny, charismatic, and gave me a kind of attention I didn't realize I wanted. I opened up to her. I told her things. Too many things. My real mom warned me to be careful, and I didn't listen. One of the things I shared with her, just a few months before the wedding, was about my ex and first boyfriend, Andrea, 26M. He was super Christian, his dad wanted him to be a priest, and we were together from age 15 to 17. He loved me. But he basically coerced me into losing my virginity. Told me he'd break up with me if I didn't. It was traumatic. It hurt. And 2 months later, he dumped me because I didn't want to do it again. On top of that, one of my best friends died in a car crash that same month. I told her it took me years to even feel safe dating again. That I didn't enjoy sex until I met my fiancé. I told her my biggest fear about marriage is being forced into intimacy, even though I know deep down my fiancé would never do that. My real mom wanted me to do therapy, individual and couples before wedding, but I refused. I trusted the wrong person. I feel so stupid. So stupid. Last night was the rehearsal dinner. I invited her, gave her a +1 for her husband. Thought she'd show up, sit with her parents, keep it low-key. I was so wrong. She showed up late, holding hands with my ex, walked right into the middle of the dinner. She came up to where I was sitting and said I needed to heal and she would help me, that he came to apologize. I don't even know what happened after that. I froze. I just held on to my fiancé and sat there like an idiot. My real mom and dad rushed over. I vaguely remember my ex saying something like he lost the love of his life and then my dad straight up tried to deck him. I've been locked in my room ever since. I feel ashamed, violated, humiliated. For me, for my fiancé. She walked right over my boundaries like they meant nothing. She used my trauma like it was some plot twist at a soap opera dinner. I want to cancel everything and run away. When he walked in with her, it was like being 17 again. Like nothing ever healed. How am I supposed to get married like this? I'm awful. Story 6. I'm married, with a 3-year-old daughter. My friend and I are both immigrants to Canada and met at work 6 years ago. We became close pretty quickly, and our wives get along too. He's got a 2-year-old now, so sometimes we hang out as families when we can. He's honestly a good guy in a lot of ways, and we've had some great times together. But over the last couple of years, he's started to let out more homophobic and transphobic views. At first, it was stuff like, why do gay people have to have pride? Straight people don't have pride. Or, it's so over the top. Be gay, whatever, just don't shove it in everyone's face. Recently, he's joined some kind of spiritual or religious group, and I feel like his views have gotten even more closed off. He told me the other day he's planning to put his kid in private school because he doesn't want them exposed to Ontario's gender identity curriculum. He's a part-time musician and sometimes performs at schools, and he mentioned how weird he finds it seeing kids with they/them hats. He just kept going on about how he doesn't get what's happening these days. I know people have different opinions, and I'm fine with not agreeing on everything. But this has started to feel like too much for me. I believe teaching kids about gender identity and acceptance is a good thing. His attitude makes me super uncomfortable, and now I'm seriously thinking about distancing myself or even cutting him off. The thing is, it really sucks because I do care about him, and we have a history. Has anyone else been through this? Am I overreacting? How do you deal with the sadness or guilt if you do end up walking away from a friendship over something like this? Story 7. Me and my girlfriend just bought a house and moved in 2 weeks ago. It's in a different state that's roughly 1.5 to 2 hours away from home where our support system is. We've been here 2 weeks now and I'm just sad. We moved from the outskirts of NYC to the country part of PA where a bear just casually walked across our front yard. We purposely picked this area because it was more affordable and we wanted land and a slower pace of life. That's what we got and it's great and very peaceful. I just wasn't prepared to see a bear and a snake my first few weeks here. I wasn't prepared to be so overwhelmed by the amount of work there is to do and the amount of money that is just leaking out. We inherited an above-ground pool that has been a thorn in our side. I miss home, I miss my friends and family. I miss relaxing after work and not having some project to work on. Mind you, I was excited about the projects at first, but now I'm just tired. I feel exhausted from going. It's got me questioning if I should even be with my girlfriend. She's so happy here and has loved working on the yard and on all the house projects. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to keep a brave face while I get adjusted to such a change from the city life. I work from home so I didn't have to switch jobs, thankfully. I'm so grateful to even have the privilege of buying a home in such tough economic times. I was brought to USA as a kid and have tried to make the most of the opportunities available to me. I have so much to be grateful for and I am. But I also just want to curl up in a ball and cry. I know this is super rambly and all over the place, but I just wanted to get it off my chest. Story 8. I dated a woman over a year ago that just didn't have much time for me, and when we were together she was not very affectionate. Didn't like being romantic or flirty with me. Didn't open up emotionally either. When I tried to spark any romantic chemistry with her, she didn't seem to care about it. We would get intimate when she was in the mood, when she was horny, but that was very rare. I figured she just wasn't into me. When I brought up my feelings, she would claim that she is very attracted to me, but just struggles with affection or being lovey-dovey, but she would work on it. She never did and I was unhappy, so I broke up with her and then she was pissed off that I broke up with her. A few months later, she was back on the dating apps and complaining on social media, on her Instagram, that men are emotionally unavailable. That she is tired of emotionally unavailable men. It just irritated me. He was emotionally unavailable to me. I poured so much love and affection her way when we dated, but she didn't care. Now she is complaining about men being emotionally unavailable to her. Story 9. I have a child with my ex-wife. Before having gone through all the trauma and hardship my ex caused, I wanted children. However, not only has she changed my mind on that subject, I now resent my own son. Backstory. My ex cheated on me multiple times before she became pregnant, is a narcissistic psychopath. I was unaware of these traits until after we were married and did not know how bad the psychopathy was until the divorce. She hid it insanely well from me. I didn't not leave because I believed I couldn't find anyone better and she convinced me to believe that. I have since worked on my mental health and self-esteem and I'm a far better place now and also wanted to better myself to be a more stable and healthier father for my son. Since he was born, my ex controlled everything about my son. No matter my input, nor how potentially dangerous the thing she was doing was, it was her way. From him sleeping in the bed as an infant, to him being out of the car seat while the vehicle is moving, even her forcefully keeping him awake, as an infant toddler, so he was on her sleep schedule. If it's not a quick and easy fix any behavior from our child, it didn't happen. Now into the current situation. We have since divorced. During the divorce, she used my son against me, as a pawn, to get as much financially out of me as possible. I am paying child support in the amount of $2,000 a month, 100% true, not an exaggeration, and I get to see him a few weekends a month. So when I get my son, it feels like a disaster. He eats nothing but sugary or fried foods, demands it, and throws tantrums to get it. I don't give in, so he doesn't eat a lot when I have him. He barely listens as my ex does so little discipline or teaching wise with him. And to top that off, my ex is so difficult to deal with that I have her blocked on everything but a parental app for basic communication. My ex has effectively caused me to resent and borderline hate my son. He used to be my whole world. Now I feel like I pay $2,000 a month to barely see a child who acts like little monster while I have him. I don't know whether to continue on or, honestly, consider revoking my parental rights to save myself the future heartache. I feel so guilty thinking and writing this. But it feels good to say it out loud. Thank you for listening. Update. I have been reading a lot of recurring questions and figured it was worth putting on here for you all. I don't blame my son. He is innocent in all of this between me and my ex-wife. I have past trauma with the situation from my ex as a whole that I am still working through emotionally, and that is evident. I knew ex-wife through mutual friends for about a year or so before we married. Not friends directly, but we hung out quite a bit through the mutual friends. We started dating when she was 21. When we started dating, I felt like she was the one fairly quickly for me, so I proposed, and we married shortly afterwards. She was very independent, and on the surface, had her life together and was very mature even for her age. In hindsight, there were red flags that I had either missed or ignored, which that I am at fault for. The divorce occurred in FL. Why I do not have 50-50 custody is she financially strangled me into complying. Not to give too much detail about the finances, and to make it as simple as possible, she manipulated her way into controlling all of our finances and used that to her advantage during the divorce and the parental agreement. While she was my wife, I trusted her to make the best financial decisions for us, as you would with any partner. She used that trust to put herself in the best financial position possible for her own well-being. The ultimatum I was given by her was either I could go after 50-50 or more custody, but she would do her absolute best to bankrupt and financially ruin me, which would cause me to not be able to properly care and support for our child. Or she dictate a majority of the parental agreement, be the primary parent and basically allow me to survive financially. Why I haven't gone after more custody and challenging the parental agreement is because, in all honesty, I am still recovering from the financial hardship she placed me in. I have zero issue with the child support, or the amount. My issue with the child support is the fact that my ex has verbally stated what the money is used for and none of it goes towards my child. She basically uses the money to not work and pay her bills. None of the money is used to try and provide a healthier diet for him, for any type of therapy, or to provide a better quality of life in any way. I understand he is at the age of 3, which is when a lot of children test their parents' patience. However, my concern isn't that he's acting out because of his age, as I have a baseline of his behavior being his dad. My concern is that this behavior has been happening before his current age, and will progressively get worse the older he gets. I currently do not have him for long enough periods of time to try and rectify the behavioral issues I am seeing, along with his diet. My ex-wife has and will continue to refuse taking responsibility for his health and behavior. I have attempted multiple times to have conversations with her about it. If it is not her decision or her idea, she will refuse it outright. No matter how much sense it may make. I will look into therapy and classes to do my best to be a better father. I'm not a perfect parent and I'm not putting all of the blame on my ex. I share blame for these circumstances. I have come a long way emotionally since the marriage and the divorce. I feel trapped in my ability to fix the situation at hand. I had a test performed during the beginning of the divorce and he is my son. The bottom line is I want my son to be healthy and happy. I just feel like I am in an impossible position to where I cannot provide that no matter how hard I try, with a parent constantly fighting back against it and will eventually attempt to manipulate my son against me too. I am planning to try and schedule another conversation with her soon to attempt to break through to her, and I hope that I do. Hopefully this helps answer more questions and sheds more light. Story 10. A little over 2 years ago, I caught my wife having an affair. I decided that I'd regret not trying to save our marriage and our family, so we've been attempting reconciliation. It's been hell on earth for these last 2 years, but our marriage seems to finally be on solid ground again. Things aren't perfect, and probably never will be, but maybe that's okay. Anyway, My wife confided in her sister before and during the affair. Her sister fully supported the affair, even though my wife never planned on leaving me. She sympathized with the perils of cheating and told my wife to not feel guilty and no regrets. Her sister did not lay out the eventual consequences of the infidelity. The damage to our marriage, the breakup of our family, the pain inflicted on me, the blight to her reputation, etc. So after 2 years I've gained a lot of perspective, and I've come to the conclusion that I don't want this person in my life anymore. I don't want her around my kids. She is toxic, and I believe that even now she doesn't believe my wife did anything wrong. I can forgive my wife. I can give her grace because I still love her, and she's done a lot of work to change and repair our relationship. I know many people, especially on Reddit, think that there is no redemption after infidelity. I myself was one of those people, but then it happened to me and it wasn't so simple. I'm glad that I stayed with my wife. I'm glad my kids' lives weren't upended. But I cannot extend that same grace to my SIL. Especially when it appears that she's still the same person who was my wife's cheating cheerleader. I know that me cutting her out will cause drama and strife within my wife's family, but you know what? Whose fault is that? I do not wish to see or interact with her ever again. Updat, I do not blame my SIL for the affair. My wife made her own choices and would have had the affair without her sister's consent. But I do blame SIL for supporting something so blatantly wrong, something that would hurt her own niece and nephew. She maybe even could have prevented the affair, instead of encouraging my wife to flirt and then validating the affair, telling her how happy she was for her. Gross. Story 11. I don't know if I should keep trying to convince my partner to leave her family's house and start our own life. So, and my partner is 40-year-old. We've been in a relationship for 5 years and have been living together in their family house in the Philippines for over 4 years. She has 2 sons, none of them are mine, 2 brothers, 1 nephew, and 2 nieces. In their family, it's always just me and her working, and we've been responsible for providing for everyone. We split everything 50-50ths, including food. Every time I try to convince her to move out and rent an apartment just with her 2 sons, she rejects the idea. Her reason is always, what about my brothers, my nephew, my nieces? It feels like she doesn't want to leave and start a family with me, even though I've tried to bring this up year after year. Whenever there's an issue with her family, she expects me to be the referee. Her 2 brothers don't get along well and drink almost every day. But when it comes to my family, it's a different story. She doesn't even want to spend the night at my parents' house, where I grew up. Whenever I want to go home and bring her and her kids along, she refuses. To be honest, I'm feeling really confused. I don't know what to do anymore. Should I keep trying to convince her to move out and start our own life, or should I accept things the way they are?